Welcome to the Dr. Ali Griffith Show. This is where sparks of inspiration fly, and you'll feel ignited from real-life motivation. Through listening to this show, you'll discover your own uniqueness and learn how to transform negative energy into positive energy. In the end, you'll smile from the inside out, feel good about yourself, and produce amazing results. And here's your host, Ignite Coach, #1 best-selling author, Autism Mom expert, and thought leader, Dr. Ali Griffith.
What's up? What's up? What is up? And welcome to the Dr. Ali Griffith Show, mindset, meditation, and motivation. Today's episode, we are going to be speaking about some of my mantras and what has helped me to get through some of the darkest moments in my life. Yes, I believe we all should have them. But before we even get into that, I want to thank all of you who have subscribed, who have left your reviews and your ratings. We are over 700, almost 800 downloads at the time of the recording of this. And we are closing out our first month of doing podcasts and leaving messages and just pouring into you guys in a different way. So I want to thank you. And at this moment, I'm just going to read about, I'm going to read a few. First, we're going to say for all those who have left reviews, thank you. For all those who are going to leave reviews, thank you. So when you get a chance, please definitely read the review. And every few podcasts, I'll read them. So here's one from Lawanda. She said, your podcast was recommended by a colleague. I'm so excited for the opportunity to learn, listen, and engage with you. I've listened to each episode and I look forward to continuing this journey with you. I would love to hear you speak more about how you've benefited from meditation, both short-term and long-term. Thank you for creating this space. Yes, I finally dropped the second meditation, so definitely go back and listen to it. And I will share more about how I benefited it in each one. So you got it, and thank you so much for listening. Then we have Seth Soldier say, listen, your podcast is lit. Changed my life today. Finally got a moment to myself to listen, and wow, you are hitting your stride. I am so proud of you. Thank you for giving me courage to live my dreams. Thank you for living yours. Takeaway message, I have a responsibility to others to make it. When I give up, so do others. And that can't happen on my watch. Woo, 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 woo. And speaking of watch, we have one of the prizes to give out this week. And one of the prizes are the watch. I'm looking to see. Okay, one of the prizes are the Autism Watch that I showed a few episodes ago. And that prize will go to, as I scroll through. I'm not looking. That prize will go to TwinMomMel. Woo, woo. And I literally just went like this. Okay. She says, thank you for your transparency. Can't wait for the next one. So TwinMomMel, you have won a watch, an Autism Watch. Guys, keep leaving your reviews because I still have an autism shirt to give out and a gift card to give out. So today's episode is all about my 3 mantras. And I'm going to share a little bit about where they came from and how I use them throughout my life in so many different aspects. My first mantra I learned in 3rd grade, and it was from my favorite teacher, Miss Johnson, at that time. She was very strict. We came in and she would always have these different rules and things that we had to do. She was also one of those teachers that said I speak too much. Look where that got me, right? So I remember her telling us this hallmark note, and it said, when you care enough to give your very best. And I kept wondering why is this mantra so memorable to me? At that time, she meant when you care enough to give your very best in our homework, right? In the presentations we made in school. So I thought that that was only going to be used in an academic setting. But then I started to realize that I really adapted that mantra throughout my life, where whatever I did, whenever I gave up myself, I knew that I wanted to demonstrate that I care enough to give my very best. So sit back and think about, what was that mantra that you may have learned earlier in your life when you were a child? Because this is third grade. What was I, like 8, 9? And somehow these words seem to resonate throughout my life, and they still are impacting the choices that I do now, even in this podcast. Because whatever I do, wherever I leave for you guys, I want to make sure that you are getting my very best. And if you want to borrow that mantra, go for it, because it definitely is one that can help you to think twice about what you're doing, about what you're producing. My second mantra I learned around high school. So when I went to Carl Barton High School, shout out to all of those who went to Carl Barton, and which is a school in Brooklyn. It was a school for medical sciences. So when I went to that school, one of my friends introduced me to this after school program. Actually, Malik Yoba was in that after school program. He actually was the one running it. And we would take the train and head out to Manhattan. And when we got there, there were a bunch of different kids from all over New York City, from Brooklyn, from Queens, Long Island, the Bronx, Harlem. And when we got together, the name of the program was called City Kids. And we would just discuss different things that were happening in our environment. I loved it because it was a perfect time to get out of Brooklyn and finally see other things and listen to other kids and find out what was going on in their lives. But at the end of each session, we would hold hands together and we would all say, keep a positive thought, because a positive thought cannot be denied. And I did not realize that I would be using this same mantra throughout my life, where if I was faced in different obstacles, especially, I was married and things didn't work out the way it was. In fact, it was tough on me. It's marriage. And we went through a point where I started to feel really, really horrible about myself, my own self-esteem. I started to question my thoughts. That was a really, really dark time in my life. Even though, I was this person of light at that moment, I felt so dark. And having any positive thought was just the furthest thing from my mind. I always was in a slump of negative. And then I remember one day, being in my room and just really, really asking God, that's who I serve, my God, and just asking him, what is it that he wants? What is it I'm supposed to do in my life? And I just kept hearing all this negative, that, you're making the wrong decision and this is where you're supposed to be and you're just going to have to bear with it. And I remember thinking to myself, hearing those words, keep a positive thought, because a positive thought cannot be denied. And it began me, even through the worst times, the darkest moments of where I could have possibly be at that time, saying to myself that this too will pass. This cannot remain the same. And I spoke a little bit about this in the second meditation, where this too will pass, when you have to try and be the calm through that storm. So go through and figure and listen to it so you can see some of the meditation tools that I used at that time. But as I was using that, I remember saying to myself, keep a positive thought, Allie. Keep a positive thought, Allie. Keep a positive thought, Allie. And I kept saying it to myself until I actually began to believe it. So it's not easy. I'm not saying that it's this something that it just happens automatically and then you just switch on this light and you just become positive, or this light switch and you become positive. But it requires a lot of repetition. It requires a lot of believing in yourself. It requires a lot of going down and then coming back up and then questioning yourself, like, is this what I'm really supposed to do? And you're going to see that even as you're doing it, you have to say it so many times, repeat it so many times. You got to believe it so many times until you begin to see the shifts happening. So now, because I've practiced keep a positive thought, because a positive thought cannot be denied, I've practiced it so much in my life. When those moments of parenting Zachary, and I'm dealing with some incredibly tough, challenging moments, like now he's this teenager and, always has something lippy to say, but just knowing that keep a positive thought cannot be denied, somehow runs through my head and it shifts me back into, okay, this is now, we're going to move past this. It doesn't stay this way forever. And if I continue with my positivity, I'm going to get positive results, because that is what my life has continuously shown me. It's not something I'm making up. It's the reality of what it is. Now, I'm not saying it's always going to be great. I'm not saying it's always going to be positive, but you definitely have to have your mantras to help you to get through those moments, the things you can say to yourselves. So take this time out to just write down or get really clear on what are those words or what are those thoughts, that phrase that's going to get you through. I am enough. I can do this, which comes to my third and final mantra. And the reason why I decided to share this with you guys, I literally did a speaking event this week, and I was speaking to a group of elementary and junior high school after school teachers. And I asked them, do you guys have mantras? And they were like, no. And in my head, I'm like, you need mantras. Like, that's what really helped me get through this thing called life. Just going and picking up and just holding on to the ones that just worked and helps me to get through. So I stopped what we were doing and I said, let's start looking back and creating our mantras, because no more can you go through life without having those words that are going to get you through, especially during the roughest moments of your time. And they did it, and we went over it, and the words they shared was so incredible that I said, yep, this is definitely a podcast, and my people out there, you needed to have some. So definitely take this time out, write it down, send me the reviews, put it in your review, put it in your responses, because I'm going to read some of your mantras. It's important for me to know that you're listening, and not only that you're listening, but you're also being in action. So my last mantra, and for most of you who are part of my tribe, yes, I have an Amazing Moms tribe. You already know this. And the last one is called Just Do It. It's Nike. Yes, I'm going to give Nike all the credit for Just Do It, because Just Do It is the result of this podcast, the Dr. Ali Griffith Show. Just Do It is the result of me now speaking in stages internationally in front of hundreds and thousands of people, because Just Do It is what has helped me to navigate parenting Zachary, who's living with autism, and letting me know that I sometimes can't keep questioning myself and I have to trust my intuition. And sometimes I just have to go out of the box and just do it. Because when you just do it, especially if it's a place where you gave yourself time to meditate, be still, really, really listen to your inner voice to see if this is what you're supposed to do. And you hear it. It says yes. But somehow that doubt, that fear, the thing that tells you, that negativity that you've been raised with all of your life, somehow kicks into my head and it tells me, you can't do it. You know, they're not going to listen to you. And then I just say, you know what? Press play. I'm just going to do it. That could be partially why I made such a boo-boo on my first intro for my podcast. And I just pressed play and the unedited version came out when I did my launch. You guys know I was totally freaking about that, right? But instead of going and getting rid of it, it ended up showing my vulnerability. It ended up showing that, yes, I just did it. I launched, and I launched imperfectly. And I launched just being Ali. Like, I'm still figuring out this podcast game. I'm still figuring out this game called life. I'm still figuring out being a parent. Shucks, I'm still trying to figure out who and what this Dr. Ali Griffith is going to be. But while I'm figuring it out, I do know 3 things are for sure. Number 1, I am going to care enough to give my very best in whatever I do. Number 2, I know without a shadow of a doubt, when I have the hardest moments in my life and I'm feeling like crap, that I am going to keep a positive thought, because a positive thought, no matter what, cannot be denied. And I believe that like I believe that like I believe that. And number 3, when I'm at that crossroad and I'm getting ready to jump into the double dutch and I see the rope going, but somehow that fear comes in that if I jump in, it's going to slap me in my head. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to move. And if it stops and slaps me in my head, guess what? Here's your bonus. I'm going to jump out and I'm going to try it again. So today's episode was all about my 3 mantras. And I want to make sure that you have your mantras. So like I said earlier, definitely take this time out to leave your reviews, leave your ratings, and definitely write out, send me your mantras. I want to share it with the world. Plus, they make me know that you are in action. If anything else, you know it's all about shifting your mindset, igniting your inner fire, and then getting you to make bold, positive power moves in your lives. It's your girl, Dr. Allie, and it was such a blessing to come and just share some time with you. Remember to be amazing in your thoughts, in your words, and in your actions. Love you, and I'll catch you next time. Stay tuned and make sure you follow or go listen to another one of these. They are phenomenal.